Hi everyone, and it's Wednesday the 27th, right into the middle of the silly season now. What are you doing over these holidays? Are you actually having a holiday? Perhaps you're heading somewhere for a bit of a rest, or maybe you're just having to work through, like me. So tell us what you're doing in the comments section. Now, trying to find out what's happening with some of these people missing after all these boat sinkings has been very thin in local media, such that I've had to head to some overseas media to find out a little bit more. Let's see what we can find out. We go to the Daily Mail, who report missing Brighton artist Millie Young's last Instagram posts before she vanished when dive boat capsized in Thailand as hopes fade and empty life raft is found. And the missing British tourist Millie Young shared happy photos of her enjoying her Thai adventure with family friends before disappearing after her dive boat capsized last week. Now, it was reported to be late on Friday night when she went missing. There seems to be a bit of disparity in this article. Could be a time zone thing, I'm not sure. Ms. Young, 57, posted a series of photos of her in a salon with friends and of a kayak captioned "New Toes" and a kayak adventure. The artist from Brighton, who's lived in Thailand since 2007, so I'd suggest she's not quite a tourist anymore, although she may have been a tourist on this particular day. Had shared a number of snaps of her enjoying remote island hideaways, sunsets and the wildlife on the mainland before she vanished near the Surin Islands archipelago on Saturday morning. Rescue teams have now spent 3 days searching for Ms. Young and a crew member, Samnayang Chaichana, who's 67, who disappeared in rough seas after the Reggae Queen boat sank 4 miles from the popular tourist hotspot in southern Thailand. It says it happened around 9 a.m. on December the 23rd. And as I mentioned, other media was reporting at the time that it happened on the Friday night before. It's understood Ms. Young was on a dream trip with family friends from her hometown when the boat sank. Her parents, Joe and Philip Di Gregorio, and their 2 children were pulled to safety by a passing fishing trawler, but the Brighton artist has not yet been found. On Christmas Day, it was reported an inflatable life raft had been found 20 nautical miles from where the ship went down. They booked 5 places on the boat the Reggae Queen and set sail. The ship was then battered by large waves, took on water around 4 nautical miles from the enclave of tropical islands. Officials said a mayday call was made shortly before 9 a.m. The red, yellow and green boat, painted in the colours of the Rastafari flag, sank shortly after. Shocked holidaymakers scrambled to safety, but Ms. Young is understood to have been dragged into the choppy sea along with Samnayang, the chef aboard the vessel. Well, that's pretty much all the information we've got there in the dailymail.co.uk. As I said, scant information from local media. As we reported yesterday, there were some 8 people missing, 2 off the Andaman coast and another 6 in the Gulf of Thailand. And at least these 2, I suppose some 4 or 5 days after the incident, would be presumed dead at this stage. Now, whilst the weather has been largely spectacular here along this stretch of the Andaman coast, I haven't seen very much rain at all and very, very light winds, although I understand offshore it's a little bit more choppy. But there has been very, very poor weather down south in Thailand. And ThaiPBSWorld.com reports Naritawat is suffering worst flooding for several decades. And the province has been hit by the heaviest downpours in several decades. Some 400 to 600 millimetres of rain fell on Naritawat yesterday. That would have been Monday. All 13 districts in the province are now flooded and the waters are still rising steadily. Many people are stranded on roofs or on the second floors of their houses waiting to be evacuated because they're unable to leave due to the strong currents. 4 people are reported on social media to have gone missing, and Charun Chantra, a villager in the Rangai district, said his house has been under about 2 metres of water since Monday after 48 hours of heavy downpours, adding that this is the worst flooding in 5 decades and most people have been caught unprepared. So let's head a little bit wider than just Naritawut province, and 5 provinces in southern Thailand suffering from flooding, this being reported in the PhuketExpress.com, and the Department of Disaster Prevention and Mitigation reports 5 provinces in the south of Thailand are suffering from flooding as heavy rain continues. And those provinces being Satun, Songkhla, Pattani, Yala and Naritawut. And they're in total 24 districts, 92 sub-districts, 384 villages and nearly 20,000 families affected. And 4 people have been reported missing after a boat capsized during an evacuation during the floods in the Ru Soa district in Naritawut, in which an 89-year-old and 63-year-old female elders and 2 and 8-year-old boys are missing. The article also notes that after the cabinet meeting on Tuesday morning, the Thai Prime Minister Srettha Thavisin also went to visit Naritawut and offer his support. But not just southern Thailand, parts of northern Malaysia as well. We go to straitstimes.com, and floods in Malaysia forced nearly 26,000 to seek shelter in relief centres. And close to 26,000 people in 4 Malaysian states have been evacuated from their homes and are seeking shelter because of worsening flood conditions, according to Malaysia's Department of Social Welfare. And nearly 26,000 flood victims are now at 211 relief centres in those 4 northern states. And here's a map showing you the north part of Malaysia and those 4 particular states which are being affected by the floods. And the Golok River in Kelantan near the Thai border hit 11.4 metres, a record high that exceeded the 10.8 metres recorded during the 2014 floods that led to more than 300,000 people being evacuated nationwide. And down the end of that article it notes that the Weather Authority warns that heavy rains are likely to persist in those 4 states until December the 27th. And that's today. Yesterday I alluded to December the 26th being the 19th anniversary of the Asian tsunami, which affected the west coast of Thailand. And an article which makes you just worry a little bit. NationThailand.com reporting concerns arise over warning systems as Boxing Day marks 19 years since the 2004 tsunami. And it notes it's 19 years since a devastating tsunami struck 14 countries bordering the Indian Ocean, including 6 provinces in the south of Thailand. And the catastrophic event was triggered by a 9.1 to 9.3 magnitude earthquake off northern Sumatra in Indonesia, with the epicentre around 580 kilometres from Phuket. The tragedy claimed around 5,400 lives and left over 8,000 injured in Phuket, Pangar, Ranong, Krabi, Trang and Satun. Thousands are still missing. And in response to the tragedy, Thailand implemented preventative measures, including the installation of 2 tsunami detection buoys off Phuket and over 100 warning towers in the 6 affected provinces. And officials are required to set off an alarm when there's an earthquake exceeding 7.8 magnitude, which will give people an hour and a half to evacuate to safe zones. Well, that totally depends on where the particular earthquake is as to how long and how much warning you would need for the western coastline here. And the warning towers will also broadcast alerts in Thai, English, German, Chinese and Japanese. Yet, despite these efforts, concerns arise as many shelters and tsunami warning towers have been neglected during COVID-19. And on July the 5th and 6th last year, 2 tsunami buoys failed to function when an earthquake hit the Nicobar Islands, some 570 kilometres from Phuket. Then on April the 27th this year, as many as 25 tsunami warning towers sounded alarms, triggering panic among residents. Officials later said no abnormalities were found in the towers and the alarms are unexplained at this date. So I did a video story, probably about 10 years ago now, about this very, very question. Are those tsunami warning buoys working or not? And the questions clearly still remain. We don't seem to get any firm answer out of anybody from the government saying, yeah, they're working, they're fine, we've gone out and tested them, 100% guarantee that they're working. I think it's now up to officials to give us that sort of guarantee that the warning systems are working properly. Well, there's never any shortage of stories from security guards behaving badly and taxi drivers. Let's check out these two stories. We go to the patianews.com. TikTok star demands justice for son allegedly assaulted at a Chon Buri pub. And a well-known TikTok star in Thailand known as Mayor Pla has appealed to the police for justice after her son and a friend were allegedly assaulted by security personnel at a famous pub in Chon Buri. And her real name is Ms. Nawarat, and she narrated the incident, which occurred on the night of December the 24th, to the police, stating her son and his friend were enjoying an evening at the pub, a place they'd frequented before. And according to her, after having a few drinks, her son, whose name was withheld upon request, excused himself to the restroom, which lacked a proper lock. He asked his friend to stand guard outside the door for privacy and help with keeping the door closed. Soon after, a group of 6 to 7 security personnel from the pub suddenly barged in, accusing them of using illegal drugs. The security guards then proceeded to allegedly physically assault both the victim and his friend, both inside the restroom and later outside the establishment. And the TikTok star's son sustained multiple injuries, including extensive bruising and a broken right eye socket. His friend's injuries were even more severe, with a head injury, bleeding in the brain, and a broken neck requiring surgery. Now, this TikTok star insisted that her son and his friend were not engaged in any illegal activities inside the restroom, and the pub guard severely misunderstood the situation. Now, I don't quite understand this next paragraph. Although the owner of the establishment has offered to cover the medical expenses for her son and his friend and has eliminated all responsible guards, fired? Ms. Nawarat expressed concern that justice may not be served as the guards have yet to take accountability for their actions. To address these concerns and ensure transparency and impartiality in the investigation, she's decided to seek out the intervention of the National Police. And apparently she's a net idol on TikTok with over 3 million followers. So no matter what they were doing in the restroom, it seems the guards overreacted violently. But with 3 million followers on TikTok, she'll be able to put a little bit more pressure on the police to perhaps do something about it. Heading down to Phuket now and to the PhuketExpress.com. Phuket taxi driver apologises, explains viral story of forcing a tourist out of taxi after argument about air conditioning. And a taxi driver has clarified to the police and media the situation after a video clip of him pulling a foreign tourist out from his car at a gas station went viral on Thai social media. Apparently this happened on Sunday when he picked up a foreign tourist from a shopping mall in the middle of Phuket, that would be Central Shopping Centre, on the way to her accommodation in Bang Tao. That would be a journey of about 45 minutes. The passenger asked him to turn off the air conditioning and lower the window instead. Apparently he turned off the air conditioning in the back of the vehicle, but the front was still turned on. His passenger asked him why it was still cool, and he told her that he needed to keep the air conditioning still turned on at the front because it was hot, which frustrated the passenger. When he stopped for petrol on the bypass road, the passenger was disappointed and said it wasted her time for 8 minutes. And she allegedly opened and pushed the car door with her feet, and the taxi driver became angry before pulling the passenger out of the car. And again, I don't quite understand this paragraph. The Phuket City Police took the taxi driver to a condo in Bang Tao, but they did not meet the tourist. The taxi driver apologised to the tourist's mother instead. She called her daughter, and the tourist accepted the apology from the driver and did not take any legal action against him. And police said they took the situation very seriously to avoid hurting the positive and professional image of Phuket taxi drivers. When I think about Phuket taxi drivers, the words positive and professional are probably the two last words I would use to describe them. Anyway, we'll move on. And just a bit more clarification, this from an article in the PhuketNews.com. It says officers arrived at the Bangtao Beach Gardens yesterday morning with Bunrit for him to apologise for his behaviour, as Bunrit now felt guilty for his behaviour. However, Maria, apparently this is the name of the lady, was not at the condo. Her mother tried calling Maria, but she did not answer her phone. So instead, Bunrit made his apology to Maria's mother, according to the tourist police. Well, it doesn't really look like anybody covered themselves in glory with that particular incident. And with that, we thank you very much for watching today. That's Wednesday, the 27th of December. We're doing our programs all the way through this silly season and into the new year. Please subscribe to the channel. We appreciate you watching, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow.